opportunity that they're just looking at through a glass window. It's like, it's right there. I just have to do X to get there. And it's important that we have this conversation right now. Okay. It's the end of quarter one of 2026. And you may have hit your goals, like your revenue goals, your profit goals, your goals that you set for 2026 for this specific quarter. You might be on track, and congratulations. But if you aren't, well, we have to work on that. And if you are, then we also have to work on that. Because even though we're still, let's say, 3 months into this year, we still have 9 months to build momentum, keep and build momentum, grow, and really just stay focused. And it's, you might want to say like this, the first 3 months really sets the tone for the rest of the year. And I really believe that. I believe that these first few months have really set the tone for what you're going to allow yourself to get distracted on. What we will allow ourselves to get absorbed in. Well, there are things that are completely out of our control. Are they taking away from our calling to build legacy, to create something valuable? Or is it just a distraction that we're leading into because we're using it as an excuse? Deep down, we know we're using it as an excuse so that we actually don't do the things we know we're supposed to do. I laid on really thick, huh? Okay, so I know we're just getting started, but it's important that I serve you. And I don't want to come on here and just like read from a prompt and tell you things that won't serve you. This is Friday. This is like the end of the week. You get to look back and just celebrate and count all your wins and your blessings. And if you are watching this, you do have many blessings throughout the week, even if you haven't identified all of them yet. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about predictable contracts for the business you've already built. So, by the time we're done together in this session, you'll have clarity from where you are to where you want to go, to actually track those specific markers so that you know how to get there. No more having to scroll through a gazillion YouTube videos to try to patchwork everything together. It's going to help you significantly get clarity and customize a plan so that you can move the needle. Does that sound good? Absolutely, VJ. You're welcome. So we are live on LinkedIn and on YouTube. And the reason why this is so important, and I want everybody, as many people as possible, to hear this message, is I believe there's something very powerful happening right now. Okay. There's several things you might guess, right? Actually, go ahead and put in the chat, what do you think are really powerful things that are impacting your business right now? Go ahead and put in the chat. Name one thing, name the top thing that you feel like, man, this is really powerful. This is something I'm thinking about every day. Constantly see. AI. Yeah. We're seeing a lot about AI, huh? It's like everybody wants to implement AI into their business. And that's, I mean, I want to implement more AI into my business. And there is this like fine line between what is going to be the best benefit for the business and what's going to be the best benefit for the client. And I've just made the decision. It's a personal decision, but anything client facing that requires, once they have become a client, they're getting personal touch, they're getting people, they're getting connection, they're getting a relationship just for because of what we deliver and how we serve our clients with white glove experience. That's just what we've decided to do. And as far as like everything else, we're totally applying AI as much as possible. What other topics? Okay, so gas prices. Yeah. But it's just one of those things. It's like, what is the cost of, I mean, like really, like what I try not to like, going back to what can we actually control? I can't control the prices, but I can control my wallet. I can control how much money is in my wallet so that I can pay the prices, right? And I can get to where I need to go because I never want to be limited by something that I can't control, right? I want to go ahead and just acquire what's mine, you know? I don't want to get preachy, but that's truly what I believe in is everything is available to you. There's just different levels of investment. And so I choose not to invest myself on things that I can't control. Like, do we need gas? We do. We have cars. We have to pay gas. Does it change whether or not we buy gas? No. We're just going to do it. But I'm grateful to be in a situation where I can. And that's what's important. Connectivity of people, so good. So connectivity of people, I feel like, yeah, it's like social media is just, oh man, I just recently, the last couple of weeks, I've noticed a lot of AI generated content. And I'm like, how do I get to know you? Like, how do I get to know you? Like, go live more. So it's one of the goals that I have for this year is to go live more so that you get to see me, get to connect with me, you get to build a relationship with me. Because it is a no-brainer, right? When everybody is doing the same thing, question it. That's honestly how people stand out is when everybody's doing the same thing, question it. Like, wait a minute. Everybody's using AI for social media, AI to create their website, AI to do all of their automation for sales and marketing and everything. Why? Not to say that it's wrong, but just to understand the principles and the impact to psychology, neuroscience, strategy, relationships, connectivity to people. It's like, what is the thing? So just kind of tying AI with connectivity of people. And then the other thing is, I really think, I don't know, I'm sure it's the algorithm on me. So the last couple of weeks, I've been scrolling on Instagram and I have getting like I'm seeing these posts about low energy, low iron, low this, low that. And I'm just like, so strange. There's a lot of people with low iron, right? So I started doing some more research and in the research it says that iron it's challenging to be absorbed into the body if it doesn't have enough vitamin D. And I was like, wait a minute. So if I stand out because I have low iron, so like if I stand outside I could get more vitamin D. So what if the last couple of years we've been like really focused on our screens? It actually hasn't been helping us health wise, but connectivity outside, that might be an opportunity. So that's just kind of like something personal, but connectivity in smaller groups. One of our programs that I'd been running for the last few years, we've only done them virtually. And starting this year, we started doing them in person. Oh my gosh, a totally different experience. And one of our clients said to us, said, always, like at the end of the event, he was like, always do these things in person. And I was like, I agree, 100%. We'll totally do that. Is it worth it? 100%. Like we love putting together these events, and I'm so grateful that that's the feedback. So connectivity for sure. So predictable contracts. So predictability in general. It seems like it's like a incident impossibility for business, right? Like, how do I create? It's impossible. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I don't. Anything can happen in the market. If you do any trading, or if you pay attention to the trades, you might think to yourself like, anything could happen. Any news could change, right? And especially right now, there is a trust recession. You might have heard that. Put in the chat if you've heard that term before, trust recession. That we're in a trust recession. Go ahead and put yes in the chat if you've heard that before. Okay. Yeah. So trust recession, what does that mean? That means that it's taking longer for people to make decisions because they don't trust what they're seeing. Case in point, a whole bunch of AI generated stuff. Do I actually know that this person that I am consuming content from actually can do the thing? Or have they just gotten a really good degree in AI over the last couple of weeks? Do they have the experience, right? And so for experts like you may be feeling that challenge. Like, how do I compete against that? How do we stand out above all that noise of how to become somebody that can be seen and known as a real expert, not someone who is just regurgitating. And that's the difference. That's the difference. That's where predictability starts to get clear. How? Okay, so the reason why it becomes, and this is my prediction, this is based off the research that I have been diving into and learning more about and have been applying in my business and helping my clients create predictability, is that when there's this volatility, like this up and down, where there's change constantly, that causes a lot of panic for business owners. But guess what? When you're getting really good at sales, and you know that you need to be almost like in like a dome of like peace and tranquility so they can do good sales, right? Like if your kid comes to you and you're right before a sales call, it's like, I got to reschedule. Right? So the reason why that's so important is because stress does something to our brains. Stress actually decreases our ability to think like cohesively and logically and intentionally and intellectually. And when that happens, people feel it. You don't even have to say it. They already know. They could feel it. They could sense it. Do you ever stand next to somebody and you have your back towards them and you feel like their eyes are on you? You feel it. Like you feel it. And so your clients are feeling it. They don't even have to talk to you. They don't even have to get on the phone with you. You might think, I'm going to send them an email because I don't feel like it right now. You're like, hey, I make this like ChatGPT, Claude, make this sound really good, right? But the energy is still there. It's science. You can look it up. So, how do you create predictability when life is just lifing, when we're going through the ups and downs of life, when we don't have a sense of what's going to happen tomorrow? Well, here's the thing: when it comes to predictability, the market is always going to be volatile. It always has proven to be volatile. We've had the 2007 recession, 2007, 2008 recession. Then we had pandemic, COVID-19. We even in between that, we had a bird flu crisis thing. And now we're seeing even more transitions into a new era of life, right, for the human race with the AI era. And so there's a lot of things happening, and there always will be. And the only market that is consistent throughout all of that is public sector. Because people still have to, take their kids to school. Even through the pandemic, there was funding to agencies that were educating your children. So hospitals, I definitely saw an increase in that. In addition to federal agencies, there are also state and local agencies like airports, transportation, transit, your highway systems where you have to like pay for toll, right? So there are so many other agencies available and consistently buying your services, and you may not even know. In fact, only 12, is it 15%? It's 15%. It's like 14 something something something. So it's nearly 15% of small businesses in the entire United States even know or have won a government contract. What? And what's even crazier is that the other 87% or the 85% are all competing for the same client in the private sector market. You see it online. You see it online. It's everywhere. Everyone is saying the same thing. I provide consulting. I am in engineering. I am in construction, and they're just competing for the same thing. I remember when I started my business, I went into a Facebook group. I was told to go in this Facebook group. Everybody was talking about it. And this is where in just small business owners would go and they would basically bid on people. Like, hey, I need these services. Send me your price, send me your fee to this email or put it into this Google form. And I thought, well, this is how I get started. And then I was like, I will never make money. I was like, that'll never make money. It lasted for about 2 days. And then I just resorted into my expertise and my excellence. And then I said, oh my gosh, this is totally cool. Um, so how do you figure that out? How do you actually set up your business to have predictability? It's not, it's not necessarily, leaving the private sector. I don't want you to do that because you already have authority, you have expertise, you have knowledge, you have relationships, you have a book of clients, you have partnerships, you have employee, like you have things working. It's already working. So we don't want to edit anything that's working. We do want to add a revenue stream for predictability because that's going to be a baseline in your business. So imagine for me with me for a second, like if you have a public sector contract, let's say you sell to the school district. It's a year worth of contract, right? A year contract, and that's the term. And let's say we're going to go small. So let's say it's 100K, 100,000, really small. So let's say 100,000 for a year, for 12 months. And you have that as your baseline in your business. There's nothing to stop you to go get another contract. We have 99,000 agencies across the entire United States. And that's just US. Does it stop you from doing contracts in other states or countries? No. There as long as there's a governing body in in those states or in those countries, as long as there's a governing body in that country, there are opportunities. However, let me explain something to you about government contracting. So they're going to want to keep that money local because that helps stimulate the economy. You see, this is not just like frivolous spending. This is buying, building schools and bridges and engineering our highways, right? Definitely want that to happen. Building hospitals and building amphitheaters, like outdoor amphitheaters, so we can enjoy the sunlight. There's so many things, and even just having a bigger airport so that we can travel the world with our family. So these are things that are necessary. Also, the signage. I went to an event last week, and there was no signage. And so it was a huge. I'm here in Orlando, so there's a lot of resorts. So it's a huge resort, and you drive on the property park, and I look at the invitation, and it doesn't actually say a suite, and it doesn't tell me the ballroom or anything. So I'm walking around, I'm like, I just need somebody, an information desk. That's what I'm looking for, an information. If there's no signs, I'm looking for an information desk. And so it took me about 20 minutes to find an information desk. And when I finally found it, I was just like, okay, where is this event? And they're like, oh, it's on the other side of the campus. I'm like, okay, how do I get there? And they said, well, you could park on that side. And I said, how far is it? I can't walk. And they were like, it's there's a highway in between. And I was like, oh, okay. So terrible, terrible, terrible. Signage is key. And this is signs. Like when you drive in your neighborhood, those signs that you see, the street signs, those are government contracts. The stop signs, the sidewalk, even when you go to a courthouse, like security or the metal detectors, right? And there's so many things. So everything that's necessary is necessary, is essential for us to live in our society, our contracts on the public sector, okay? For the exception of people. So, well, actually, I take that back. It depends. I'm rolling out a new series. It's called It Depends on Instagram. If you're interested, it answers all the top questions that you've ever Googled. And it's really about not giving you a canned answer for every single situation that you've ever ran through or considered. Like it is actually tailored to your business. So anyway, that's a plug. But just look for Melinda Colon and you'll just find me and that's where I'll be. But it depends. So some agencies, they actually will have recruiters get them, let's say like nurses for school districts, for the schools that your kids go to. Some of the nurses are contractors, right? So these are all things that you kind of keep in consideration. Dental, like, you know, there's dental programs for, Veteran Affairs and Department of Defense. I mean, so many agencies require those services. So portraits, oh my gosh, like so many marketing, advertising, especially with when it comes to paid ads, that's a whole opportunity. So there's a lot of available opportunities for businesses, but most people don't even know it exists. So why is that so important for you? It's important because you get to be one of the businesses that does know exist and you take advantage of those opportunities. Now, I want to answer a couple of questions that I commonly get on my YouTube channel. People will ask me, do I have to have a certification? Do I have to be a small business, minority owned business to win a contract? And the answer is absolutely not. Absolutely not. You do not need a certification to win a government contract. However, that the certifications add opportunities. It doesn't open opportunities. So one of the things that I do need to say this because I know it'll serve so many people, is when you get a certification, if you have a certification like a women-owned business or a minority-owned or veteran-owned business certification or hub zone or AA, we don't want to like put that first before we put all of our the definition of who we are and what our business does. Like we put it last. We're like, oh, by the way, we have this certification. Let me give you an example. Oftentimes when clients come to us, they're like, we've already done it. We have our SAM. We just need help with finding opportunities and positioning. Cool. Our team, me and my team, we look at all of your stuff. We say, hey, send us over your proposals, send me your capability statements, send over your, past contracts. Like we want to see it all so that we can help you get clarity so that you have structure. And I kid you not, most of our clients, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault, but most of our clients do two things with their capability statement. One, they create it once and they never update it. Here's the challenge with that. Not every agency uses the same codes and needs the same services and speaks the same language. If you've ever noticed, there's a lot of acronyms, right? It's a completely new vocabulary on the public sector side. There's nomenclature created every day. It feels like sometimes. So imagine if you're creating something for, let's say, a federal agency, a specific federal agency, and then you have that specific CAPSTAT, capability statement, and then there's an opportunity with your local city, and you submit that. They're going to be like, well, can you update this? Because two things. One, NAICS codes. Most SLED agencies or state local agencies don't use NAICS codes. They use NIGP codes. They have a different commodity code set. There are PSC codes. There are so many other codes. And so you need to know what that agency uses so that they can categorize your services appropriately. Second thing is putting a description of your business. You might think this is super easy. Just copy and paste it from AI, or maybe you're a great writer and you just put it up and you're just modeling what everybody else is doing. Well, again, if everybody else is doing it, question it. So adding your certification first is kind of like it's like on the side of a cereal box, you see the first ingredient is based off per the FDA is the largest portion of all of the ingredients. So it's like it starts with the largest and then it goes to the least. You're showing this is the most value that I have to offer when you put your certification first. You want to lead with your value. So you're a business owner. What do you do? What are the results you provide? Where are you located? What's your expertise? What's the transformation you provide clients? Do you have repeat clients? Is there something so notable? Are you award winning? Like what award did you win and why? That goes ahead of the certification because the certification is just, oh, by the way. The certification is just an oh, by the way. And if you're a prime contractor, I know this is one of the things that you're going to celebrate me saying because my clients who are primes, who are running nine figures, $1 billion brands, they're telling me like one of the reasons why we dropped our small business participation, minority participation partners is because that's all they came with. They did not come with the expertise, they came with the certification. So it didn't make sense for us to keep them if when when the certification terms or the rules changed, we're not required to keep them. They did not show that they had value. You always want to lead with value. You see, somebody like you has already figured out 99% of business. The 1% thing that's left is boundaries. And boundaries cannot be created unless you get clear on your identity. Like, what are you going to stand for and what you're not? What are you bringing to the table? Why should they even accept you? What makes you different? If everyone says the same thing, let's say, for example, you are a minority business. Let's say you have an 8A certification. Let's say you have a GSA schedule. Why would you be different than anybody else, any other company that has those same credentials? How would you be different? You wouldn't. You would be the same. So you can't, like, are you guys seeing what I'm saying? Go ahead and put a yes in the chat if you're seeing what I'm saying. Is this landing? We want to lead with our business identity. You know, when you register on sam.gov, it says, what is your entity name? It's not asking for your name. It's not asking for Melinda Colon. It's asking for my entity's name. It's a separate entity. What is the brand's identity? What does it stand for? Oftentimes it stands for what you stand for because you're the founder, or maybe you're acquiring businesses. So you're thinking like, I don't really know. Ask the employees, ask past clients, what do they say? That's great for you, what you could work on, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. A good, strong SWOT analysis will help reveal all of that information for you. But once you have clear identity, now you're like, okay, what is the goal? Like, where am I trying to go? How am I trying to get there? And so if you're getting really crystal clear on that roadmap, you're like, this is where I am, this is where I want to be. These are my strengths, these are my weaknesses. So I'm looking for either to strengthen those weaknesses or complement someone who has those strengths, right? Opportunities. What opportunities am I overlooking? What opportunities could there be to reveal opportunity for my business? You know, reveal things for my business that I didn't even pay attention to, right? You know, so it's really, really simple. It could be as, you know, an exercise like just driving around your neighborhood. Just go for a 5 mile read, a 15-minute drive around your neighborhood. It'll reveal a lot to you. Okay. Threats. What is standing in the way? Or what do I need to be cautious of? Now, when you get that clarity, now you can say, okay, here are my strengths. I'm going to lead with my strengths. Your certification is not your strength because anybody can get a certification. Anybody can get a certification as long as you have an LLC, a bank account, you can get a certification. So that's not going to be something that will make you different. This is what we call in marketing differentiator. So what's going to make you different is your experiences, is your business's experiences, your business portfolio, your business past work. That's going to make you different. Lean in with that because that's going to make you unique. It's going to make you stand out. It's going to make you different and more memorable. Now, when you become more memorable, you're starting to unlock predictability. So let's get into predictability. Is this good? Is this landing for you? Give me a yes in the chat if this is landing for you. All right. All right. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is get registered. Most of you have already gotten registered. Get registered. Number one, get registered. Where do you need to go? Where do you need to go to get registered? Actually, I'm going to be a little controversial and say you don't need a sam.gov registration. not to get started. No. Actually, what would benefit you more, significantly more, is if you get registered in your local city, in your local county, in your local state. If you did those 3 registrations, it would outperform your SAM registration by far. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I said it earlier. I don't know if you guys picked it up. Government agencies want to keep the money local. They want to keep the money local, especially small businesses, because the goal is to circulate the economy. So circulate the global economy, then the national economy, then the state, and the county and the city. So these are different economies. So when you're in your local area and you are participating in that circulation, what happens? You get ease. You get permission to build relationships that open and unlock opportunities that you've been spending thousands, if not millions of dollars in ad spend to get for free. How do I know that? I had a client come to us. She's never gone into public sector, never sold to a government agency ever, only private sector for her 10-year-old business. And the previous year, she got listed on, Inc. 5000. She was doing, just really killing it. She was working on her operations. She really wanted to get better at structure, but she felt like, how do you get better at systems and structure without predictability, right? And that was the thing. She kept bothering her. She was like, man, how do I create a system when I don't know, like when there's like volatility? It's super hard, right? Super hard. It's kind of like trying to drive a straight line when you have a flat tire. It's like, oh my gosh, it's really difficult. So that's what she was going up against. And when she came to us, she said, Melinda, I really want to win contracts, but I don't even know where to start. So I said to her, let's look at your past performance. So past performance is her past work in her business. She says, well, I know you don't understand. We've never done a contract. I said, no, you don't understand. Your past work in the private sector is like gold in the public sector right now. And she didn't understand. She was like, why right now? And I said, do you know that we're in the greatest American wealth transfer ever right now? That there are businesses that are closing their doors or selling their businesses, and opportunities are everywhere to build relationships with agencies that are losing their best contractors, the ones that they've had for the last 20 years. And she was like, I didn't even really think about it. I got all my certifications. She had a WeBank certification. She had some cities. Some of them were local. Some of them were. She had a whole bunch of certifications. She sent a list of all the certifications she had acquired. And I looked at it and I said, okay, we'll talk about that later. Let's just go and position. So we looked up a couple of opportunities and we found a couple of opportunities for her. We put together a list and then we helped her submit. Boom, one. Submit the next one. Boom, one. Now, is this always going to happen? Is there a guarantee that you're going to win every single contract? No, I can't guarantee that you will win contracts, but I can guarantee clarity. So she had crystal clear clarity on her differentiator, what made her stand out that no one else could say about them. Okay. The second thing is she leveraged the stuff she already had. You see, when you're building your business, when you've acquired a business, there's tons of assets that have not been revealed. It's kind of like the business is a treasure chest. And when you open the lid, you only see the layer. It's only when you start digging that you reveal more and more and more riches. And see, this is what we did. So we revealed all of her riches. We just spread them out on the table. We're like, you've done this and this and this and this. And she was like, yes, oh my gosh, I didn't even put that together. And then we helped her translate all of it. Because like I said, public sector language is completely different than private sector language. And so once we did that, oh man, Now she stepped in like she had authority. Like she was one of our bigger clients that is running $100 million business and that uses private sector and public sector to grow their business consistently and predictably and build structure. Because when you have clarity on what you're selling and who you're selling it to, now you're not having to follow up 3, 4, 5, 10 times to get a close on a 5K deal. You're submitting on an opportunity, you're finding out yes or no, and you're moving on. You're moving on. And that relationship is powerful because the buyer is getting to know your business. So this is why you always want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to generate something and not tailor it and modify it and put your own like sprinkle of value on that, or at least train your AI on your brand voice. If you don't have a brand voice kit, get one. It's so powerful. It changes the game because then nobody can sound like you. A lot of people think, oh, well, procurement officers and managers and contractors, they're not reading that stuff. They're just looking at the price. See, this is the thing that just like in the private sector, you need to know the pains of the public sector clients. The public sector clients want to be thoughtful and make good decisions so that they can avoid audits, so that they can avoid scrutiny, because more than likely they're paying tax dollars too. So they want to make sure that their tax dollars that are tied up in this contract is going to a business that's going to be able to deliver. And it's going to be beyond a certification. Yes, there are pools of certifications for set asides and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, think about that as well. What's going to make you stand out? Your certification or the value and the expertise that makes you different? It's a no-brainer, right? So whatever arena that you're going to be playing in, public sector, private sector, you want to be different in the marketplace. You want to stand out. You don't want to be in the sea of sameness, because you're going to get what everybody else gets, which is very little. When there's 90% of businesses that are failing in the first few years of business, when there's 75% of businesses that are failing in the first 7 years of business, it is terrifying. It is scary. And you might be thinking, well, I'm past 10. Well, guess what? There's a percentage for that too. And the entire world is shifting into AI. So what are you going to do? You need to build systems. Well, how do you build systems? How do you build structure? You have to know your identity. And the only way that you can reveal your identity is to get clear on your positioning. Like, what do you stand for? What makes you different? What will you do and what won't you do? What is your price? Being honest and respectful of your price, not just saying, I need to be the lowest so I can get this contract. If you are the lowest, you may get the contract, but you're going to lose your opportunity to grow your business. You're going to lose because that margin is not healthy enough for you to grow your business. So if you don't get the contract because you're not the lowest, nothing changed. But if you get the contract because you're the lowest, now something did change, but it's going to be painful to deliver. And that's not what they want. That's not what agencies want. They want you to stay around. They want you to be in business so that you can continue to do business with them for a long time, so that they don't have to get to know a new business next year, right? That's like the word, oh, okay. So-and-so is out of business. So-and-so is out of business. We loved working with them. They were so amazing. That stinks, right? This is why it's important to build relationship with your agency. So first thing, get registered at your city, your state, your county, or your town, your province, wherever. I would say like a 30-mile radius, like pick out one of each, like just one of each. One, if you're in Delaware, pick Delaware. Delaware people will get that joke. But so here in Florida, I'm in Orlando, so I'm going to pick the city of Orlando, the state of Florida, right? So in my county. And this is important because we want to make sure that we're building relationships locally. This is the impact you want. This is how you create impact. In order to create impact, you need money. In this country, in this world, In order to create impact, you need money because money in this world, on this planet, unlocks power. And that's just how it is. Not going to fight universal laws. I'm going to work with them so that my life can be easier. All right, so step number 2 after registered is position. We talked a lot about positioning, right? Positioning is like, what value do I bring? Go back to that treasure chest. Unlock the layers. Like, look, spread everything out. Okay, how much of this do I have? How much do I this do I have? How many times did I deliver that? How many times does this client come back? How long have we had that client relationship? It was that client acquired through a referral or an ad or email. Like, all of that data matters. It matters so, so much. And gosh, we're running out of time. So, positioning. And once you have that gathered data, you're going to be stronger and more powerful. One of the things that I love to do, because I'm a nerd and I've always been a nerd. I remember when I was in my 20s, like, I don't know, like you're in your 20s and you'd plan these trips with your girls or your guys if you're a guy, and you go on these trips, like these weekend trips or whatever, and work a full corporate week and then you want to go take a trip Friday, Saturday, Sunday situation. Well, anyway, so I would be the go-to person to put together the spreadsheet. I loved it. They're like, okay, Melinda's good with the spreadsheet. I'm like, yes, I will. Gathering all the information. Where is this? How far is this? What day is going to make the best sense for us to go to this excursion? How much is going to cost? What's the timeline? Da da da. All of that. I love spreadsheets. If I can get a bouquet of spreadsheets, I would. Um, and I say that because now, as I grew older, I really started paying attention to companies with data. Okay. Other people, other like geeky, nerdy people who love spreadsheets too, because spreadsheets is basically a storage place for data. And so I just wanted to see a whole bunch of people who love data too. I'm like, who loves data? And I'm like, oh, Jeff Bezos loves data. He has an entire company called AWS, or a separate entity of his organization called AWS, by the way, that does government contracts all day, every day. Okay. And he also sells to private sector entities. And I was like, huh, that's really interesting. How much data does he collect? Listen, trillions of trillions per day, trillions per day. And I'm like, oh, he really loves data. So I'm like, we got our Prime account. And my husband and I got our Prime account just like what, like 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago. We got our Prime account and we're seeing like, and I'm just paying attention. I'm paying attention to the psychology of how they're going through the buying process for just me. I'm like, oh, okay. So when I click on that, then I get suggestions and then I can get a different option of how I want to buy, whether it's subscribed or one time. And then I could get options for whether I want new or just used, like all of it. And I'm just paying attention to how much data every time, not even the click, but the impression, the scroll, the pause, every piece of movement is data. So, how does this apply to you? What does this mean to your business? Every movement in your business is data. Whether or not something is moving, whether you have a sales pipeline and the client is not moving on it, whether you've got people from the ad campaign to a webinar and they're not buying, it's not that the program or the system is not working because it works for other people. It's the content, it's the information that you're putting in front of them that's not working. We had this campaign, so predictable contracts for the business you already built. This was a campaign, sent out emails, did lives, sent direct messages to people that I felt would really find a lot of value in this conversation. The right people came. The right people paid attention. The right people connected. Now, what this means is that I got clarity. I'm like, oh, I even in the message in itself, I had an A/B test. I tested the subject line and the message versus this subject line and the message. I'm going to get to the point in a second. So, and then I saw this morning, I was looking and I was like, oh, this one performed better than this one. Like, actually, test B performed better, way better than test A. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. This is data. All of your data. If you're not accumulating your data, this is why you feel overwhelmed, because you're doing a lot of things, but you don't know what's actually working. And one of the reasons why I love government contracting for businesses like you is because it reveals the data. You're not, you know ahead of time. Like, one of the most valuable assets we can provide our clients is a sales pipeline for public sector agencies based off what has been adopted through acquisitions. So we already know this is going to be money spent. There's already been a gavel hit to the ground to say this is what the money is going to be spent for. And we actually aggregate that information for our clients that are perfect fit for their businesses, not by industry, not by size, but right fit, because we have positioning. So if you're in construction and you only do GC work and you have a small team, 2 to 5 people, we got you. We got you. That information is available. We know how to get it for you and put it together so that you don't have to go look for it. Now, once you have that information and you start building relationships with those companies or those agencies, the life gets better. It gets easier. But this is the step that most people don't take. See, most people go to sam.gov, they get registered, and then they start scrolling. And they're like, what can I bid on? What can I bid at? And then the brain says, oh my gosh, there's nothing here for you specifically. So let's just start bidding on anything. What can you do? Like, oh man, you start getting hungry. There's like a hunger. It's like, I'll just start bidding on anything. How do I know this? I've talked to so many people. And when they go through this, they get exhausted. And they said, we don't have time for this. We're running a multi-million-dollar business. We don't have time for this. We need to delegate it to somebody else. We don't have the funds to delegate it to somebody else yet. So how do we get the funds? Now we're in this like chicken or egg situation. Let me tell you, the most clarity that you can get in your business, the most predictability that you can get and have in your business is knowing what those opportunities are before they even exist. If you know what those opportunities are going to be in June, July, August, September, October, and November, and December, oh my goodness, it changes everything. It changes everything. Now you're not like, well, we'll see, because based off the data is going to be real. It's not going to be skewed by referrals. It's not going to be skewed based off what's happening in an environment that we can't control. It is going to be based off data, what they bought before, what they're buying this year, and what you can perform on. And those are the pieces of data that you get in the public sector. And it's consistent. It's predictable. It is information that is a part of law that has to be published in public. Okay. All right. So that's positioning. Step 1, registered. Step 2, positioning. Step 3, visibility. Get visible. So how do you get visible? Once you get registered, you'll get into a directory. You go into a directory and you'll get housed and you'll get notified anytime something shows up for your business. So your type of business, your industry specifically. And you can like say yes or no, but that's not where it stops, right? Not getting notified for 2 or 3 weeks before the bid is due, that's not the win. That is a step in the right direction from registering on sam.gov, but the win is actually building relationships with those agencies. Recently, I had the privilege to interview some procurement officers at different agencies, different SLED agencies across the country. And one gentleman, Terry, he shared with me, well, I was sharing with him an analogy that I give to my clients, that every single agency runs kind of like a business. They have different missions, different goals, and different budgets, and different line items, and different needs, and different demands. And he goes, that is a perfect analogy. This man, he's been in his role for over 30 years. I think he said 38 years. He's like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that analogy. He says, you're absolutely right. So when you start building relationship with those agency, you're going to want to build relationship with the buyer. You're going to want to understand what their pain points, what their challenges, what their issues are. Here's the really cool thing. You see, like in the private sector, you just have to go get more leads. In the public sector, they just buy the same thing over and over again every year, sometimes multiple times in a year. So the same buyer buys multiple times because their job by law is to spend all of the money. And if they don't spend all the money that they're given, then they lose their funding next year. So, you know, it's all that's what they want. They don't want to have any extra money left over because then they can lose that money next year. So they're just like, we definitely want to work with businesses like yours as long as you could deliver, right? So you can be invited to bid next time. All right. So invited, that was the fourth pillar. So first registered, second positioned, third visible, fourth invited. I have done this presentation so many times that I forget to stop and explain the next step because it's just so natural for me. But yes, so that was step 4, invited. And then lastly, awarded. Oh, yes. So when you start, okay, when this will happen, if you do what I'm saying to tell you to do, and your business has past performance. If you don't have past performance in your business, can you leverage your past experience? Let's say if you knew your business, you're still doing good, right? You've got like 5 million and above in the first couple of years, that's fine as long as you can show that you've had experience delivering on this thing before you started your business. And why is this so important? So, agencies, I don't care if they're federal, I don't care if they're SLED or state, local, they're looking to work with businesses, contractors on the service side who can mitigate risk, who can lower the risk tolerance. They don't want to have to deal with risk. So if you could show more that you have the expertise, the knowledge, and you can position it in the right way, and you can show that you can be a partner, a strategic long-term partner, that definitely helps you significantly because there's more than competitive bids available. There are so many other opportunities that people don't talk about. There's like piggybacking, which is cooperative contracts, where a cluster of cities or municipalities will actually share contractors. I know, isn't that cool? So if you provide a service to like one of 8 municipality, I think it's 12 at minimum, or I think it's like a 12, 10 or 12 that it has to be a minimum. But anyway, so one of the municipalities within that, then they get to share each other's contracts. So if you provide services to this one, do you have to go to bid again? Not necessarily. There might be opportunities to do a piggyback with another agency in that co-op. And you're just basically saying, hey, my name is, this is what we provide. We provided services for so and so. This is our contract. Do you need these services? It's so simple. And they go yes or no. And then if they say yes, they give you a PO, you send an invoice and they pay you and you're done. And you just provide the services, you're done. Like, well, you provide the services and they pay you and then you're done. So it just changes everything. Are there more than competitive contracts available? There are so many other opportunities available. But if you're not even in the arena, why does it matter? Well, if we haven't made the decision. So, what do we need to do today? What do we need to do today? This is why I wanted to do it on a Friday because I wanted to set your mind free. Instead of thinking that you have to set up the next funnel, figure out Claude AI, Claude Code, Claude Work or co-work, and also Might Manus and all these things. Like, instead of doing that, pause, because you're actually going to serve yourself and build those things so much faster when you do this one activity. Are you guys ready to do this one activity? Go ahead and put in the chat, yes, activity, or just put yes in the chat. Okay, so this simple activity. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the simple activity is all you gotta do. You need a glass of your favorite beverage of choice. a place to sit comfortably, something to write with and something to write on with your hand, preferably. No typing. No typing and no dictating. And you're going to sit down, I would say about 15 minutes. Time it, put it, tell Siri, give me 15-minute timer. And you're going to sit down and you're going to write from the established date of your business to today. Okay, if you started in 2020 or you started in 2020, for example, 2020, 21, 22, 23, I want you to fill in accolades, accomplishments for every year. This is going to be the best weekend of your life, because when you do this activity, it's not only going to serve you in your business, it's going to celebrate you too. So what you're going to do, okay, if you've been in business for 10 years, do it. You could do it. Put it for 25 minutes. It doesn't take long. It's all there. You just have to shuffle. You have to shuffle the worry away for a second and just focus on gratitude for a second. So 10 years. So that would have been 2016. So you started your business 2016, 2017, 2018, et cetera, et cetera. I have my business clients that are in my other business clarity programs. They do that. They do this. And it helps them so much because then they get clarity. And then they realize I don't have to do all the things that everybody else is doing. I get to actually scale faster, grow my business faster, do less and make more. It's insane. So do this activity and you're going to start to see a pattern. If you might need to do this activity a couple times. Do it for 25 minutes, 15 minutes, wherever, and then step away and then come back, like step away for an hour or two and then come back to this and then do it again. This is just because you have to, depending on how much pressure or stress you're under, you might need to just give the brain an opportunity to reset. So just do this. Okay. So under every year, you're going to just put in your accomplishments, like your goals. What do we accomplish? Maybe it's a revenue goal. Maybe it's the first year that you hired someone. Don't let your brain go, oh, well, we had to let that person go, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Celebrate the fact that you hired someone, okay? Celebrate the fact that you've closed a deal. Celebrate that the client renewed their contract. Celebrate that we delivered on time and under budget. Celebrate that they had kudos and they celebrated us and they sent us referrals. Who sent you referrals? Go ahead and start documenting those things. You will have so much. You will have so much. This is such a great activity. And once you have this information, how are you going to translate it? So this is the second part of the homework. Once you have this information written down, I want you to take a photo of it. Take a photo with your phone. Go into your AI of choice. So whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or wherever, Manus, whatever, and you're going to upload that photo. And you're going to give it this prompt, okay? This is so valuable. I can't believe I'm giving it away. If you do it, it's going to serve you so much. So this is the prompt that you're going to give it. Here is a picture of what I can remember of every year of my business. Help me identify all differentiators and accolades in this period of time. If you need to ask me questions for clarity, ask one question at a time. The goal is to have and create a sound and solid brand kit that can help my messaging stand out in a crowded marketplace. I want to grow my business with 2 different markets, private sector and public sector. Make sure to incorporate the best results that that my business has delivered for our clients. Submit. Put that in. And it's gonna, don't worry about it reading your chicken scratch. It's okay. It reads it. It reads it. Um, get that in, get it out. You're gonna see it. It's gonna give you the first draft, read through it, edit it, tailor it, whatever you need to. And then you're gonna tell it to create you a custom GPT, a custom GPT. And once you create a custom GPT, now you and your team can use that for messaging. You're going to add in, you can add in contracts, you can add in invoices, you can add in testimonials, all of that in that thing. You're going to feed it everything. You're going to feed it pictures of ribbon cuttings if you're in construction or engineering. You're gonna feed it, your best practices. You're gonna feed it. I mean, just go ahead. Now, the only thing that I would not put into AI in general is anything that's confidential or legal. I wouldn't do that. Nothing legal, but anything that you wouldn't mind telling someone else about, or you haven't put in a proposal for a client before, or it's on your website or something like that. The less generic, the better. The less generic, the better. This is going to serve your life. We are over 2 minutes. You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this really served you. Now, if you want to take the next step in terms of learning how to add government contracts to your business, how to sell to airports, how to sell to school district, how to sell to the Veteran Affairs, how to sell to excuse me, Department of Commerce, the Department of Labor, Department of Defense, the Navy, Air Force, whatever. If you want to learn, if you want to discover how to do that for your existing established business, I'm going to put a link in the chat so that you could apply. Now, this is only for businesses that are generating 5 million or more. If you are not generating 5 million or more, this is not for you. If you are under 5 million, go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. I will be dropping some amazing opportunities for you in the near future. But for now, if you are generating over 5 million, if you are an established business, if you have clients in the private sector and you want to improve your public sector strategies, if you want to have a strategy, maybe you don't have a strategy at all, or maybe you just need guidance and support so that you can accelerate and build momentum in public sector, click the link in the description. Go to melinda.com/apply. And that's where you can, and I'll put it as a banner because it seems like, here you go. Show melinda.com/apply. And that will actually send you directly to our application so that you can fill it out. You're going to take time to fill out that application. And when you do fill that application out, we're going to review it thoroughly. So please be honest, because we're going to find out. I mean, we always do. And it's really going to serve you, because if you're not, we'll definitely point you in the right direction so that you get what you need at where you are, and help you make a decision, because that's one of the things that you're struggling with right now, is making a decision. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to help you make a decision, help you get clarity just by going through the application. If you're a right fit, then we can talk about how we can work together directly, whether that's our in-person programs or virtual programs. So go ahead and go to melinda.com/apply. And if you are generating over 5 million or more in revenue consistently, and we can talk through how we can serve you and support you. All right, guys. God bless you. Happy Friday. Thanks for watching.